Senator Sanders.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, my guess is that historians in years to come will look back at hearings like this, and they will ask, what were they thinking about? What world were they living in? Didn't they see what was going on all around them? All over this planet today, we are seeing nations, including our own, ravaged by the impact of climate change. And meanwhile, while climate change is doing horrendous damage to peoples all over the world, we have hearings like this that talk about more oil exploration, more dependency on fossil fuel, when the evidence is overwhelming that this country should lead the world in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energies. And it is especially surprising that in a beautiful state like Alaska, which has been hit so hard by climate change, that you are not leading the world, leading this country in telling us the damage that has been done and the need to move away from fossil fuel. Right now, according to NASA, the first 6 months of 2017 are almost a full degree hotter than any year since records started being kept in 1880. This is unbelievable. The duration and strengths of hurricanes, and I just came back from Puerto Rico, have increased by 50%. 2017 is already one of the worst wildfire seasons on record. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change tells us that the average global sea levels have already risen by about 3 millimeters annually since the early 1990s, and coastal cities all over our country and the world are in danger of being flooded. And here we are talking about more dependency on fossil fuels, more destruction of the planet. What world are we living in? What are you going to say to your children and your grandchildren? Meanwhile, there's a revolution taking place in sustainable energy. We're seeing the price of solar and wind plummeting. We're seeing massive corporate investments, not in oil, not in gas, by the way, but in sustainable energy. Solar sector today employs more people than Apple, Google, and Facebook combined. So I have just maybe a simple question. I do understand, Mr. Sheehan, that your boss, the president, told us during the campaign that climate change was a hoax, right? It was a hoax. Briefly, Mr. Sheehan, is climate change a hoax or is it real?
No, Senator Sanders. Certainly, I believe that climate change is real. I believe we can see it from areas from Alaska to many other areas. But what I do believe is that as we look at these alternative forms of energy that are coming online, and you don't have to look far around this country to see new wind energy and solar operations popping up all over the place, but they still represent a very small part of the energy in this country.
That's right. But my question to you is, why is not the Trump administration recognizing that reality, investing heavily in trying to move us in that direction, rather than encouraging more oil and gas exploration?
I think they are encouraging those other energy sources, but I think that they're also trying to be forward-looking to say, what do we need 10 years from now?
You think that the Trump administration is encouraging, is investing, is urging us forward in wind and solar? Is that what you're saying, for the record?
I haven't seen a backstepping in those particular sorts of energy mechanisms.
Really? So. Well, then I think you should examine what your administration is doing. Let me ask the Lieutenant Governor very briefly that at a time when your state, perhaps, and it's a beautiful state, my God, it is the last natural wilderness that we have. Don't you think that Alaska should be leading our country in terms of transforming our energy system away from the products that have caused the problems that are impacting your state?
Absolutely. We feel it every single day. We know it. We have investment in alternative energy. We need to continue to do so. There were references to wind power. If you look at wind power and other alternative forms of energy, we are making those investments. We need to make more, but we also know that we cannot flip a switch, and that's not a pun, and turn off our reliance.
But we will never flip that switch so long as we continue investing in oil and gas. Let me ask, last question, Madam Chair, if I may. Sure. Let me ask Mr. Alexander.
Senator Sanders, you are out of time. We do have one more, and we do have votes coming up at noon.
We went 3 minutes over on two of our colleagues over here. Let him just ask the question.
Quick question.
I just want Mr. Alexander to summarize briefly the impact that this drilling will have on his people's way of life.
Senator Sanders, we believe that drilling in Ijik, Gotsan, Kwantai Kodlit will devastate us as a people. That will absolutely devastate us as a people, because you're talking about 80% of the diet of the Gutchen people being Vatzai, that porcupine caribou herd. And so our connection to that is so strong that you're talking about just an absolute change in the way we live as people. And, you know, what about the next generation? Will they ever even have the opportunity to learn how to hunt caribou and to respect it? I don't know. And I'm hoping that you here today will protect that.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Senator Manchin.
Madam Chairman, I want to thank all of you for being here. And you can see this is quite divisive, if you will. But the bottom line, we don't live in a fantasy world, and we can't pick what and choose what we would rather have. Really, we're a country that depends on almost 20 billion barrels of oil a day. That's the facts. We imported oil from 70 countries last year. That's a fact. I come from a state of West Virginia, and it's a state that believes really in all-in energy policy, and never hesitated once when this country needed the coal, that made the steel, that built the guns and ships and did everything for this country. You know, our people work and work hard. They will continue to. And I thank Governor Walker. I thank you for being here, and Governor Mallet, I want you to know you're not the only Democrat here that believes in all-in energy policy and really respects and supports ANWR and doing it in a responsible way. I also know that I voted against the budget because I thought the budget was just a gimmick to get to a budget reconciliation, which took all of us out of the process. Democrats cannot participate, have not participated in the budget process right now for overall tax reform, which the country needs. But with that being said, I also realize that, you know, there's going to be more fossil used in the world than ever before. All we can do is find different technologies and different abilities to use it until we find a technology or a new industry that will provide a more cleaner energy, if it's going to be fusion or some other form in the near future. But right now, the world is using more coal, we're using more oil, and I look at the dependency that we have, and when you start looking at the security of our nation, the more that we are less dependent on foreign oil, the better we are strategically, and the stronger we are as a nation. Also, I noticed that the Point Thompson, the last 3 years, the coastal plain has already been explored and is in development. And I think that that's been done in an environmentally sound way, a balance between the environment and the economy up there. It's within the same ecosystem as 1002. I understand, Mr. Alexander, and everyone, depending on what side you're on, there's got to be a balance to be had here. I don't know why we can't find that balance, why it's always either one side or the other, why we're divided as a nation, why we're divided as a people. It always comes down to what side are you on. I've had people ask me, they said, what's your politics? I said, you ought to ask what my purpose of being in the process, in the political process. You should care less whether we're Democrats or Republicans. I want a country that's strong, and a country can only be strong if we're energy independent. It's a fact of life. And if you want to set the technology standards the rest of the world should use, you better develop them right here. For the last 8 years under the present administration, we never developed and basically spent anything in research trying to find better ways of using coal and oil, natural gas in a much cleaner way. But with that being said, people says, I want all renewables. I said, fine. Tell me what 5 hours of the day you want your energy. Tell me what 5 hours of the day you want your refrigerator or your heat or your air conditioner to work, because that's really what you're going to get. And I think, Mr. Sheehan, you related to that. But if you could briefly, Mr. Mallett, speak on, do you believe there's a balance? I mean, I don't think that you all would be representing the great state of Alaska thinking you're encroaching and changing the lives of your citizens there. Or have you just basically thrown caution to the wind?
We need balance. First, let me say very quickly, I'm a Tlingit Indian, and when people ask me to be brief, I'm doing my damnedest. But we need balance. We need to build a future in which renewable energy sustains our children. It is an absolute high priority that Alaska recognizes its responsibility for and will, at every juncture possible, take.
Is Alaska developing clean energy with renewables the way you all are?
Yes.
The way you're extracting
Yes.
basically the resources of.
We have a long
fossil.
way to go. But
Okay.
We have invested and continue to invest in alternative energy as a high priority.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Alexander, is there any way, is there a balance to be found here that we can preserve the way of life of your wonderful people, but also have energy independence if we can and use the resources that we have? Do you think that's possible?
Thank you, Senator.
Or have you made overtures toward that you've tried to find the balance and it's been rejected?
Senator, what I'd say is this, is why is the balance being put on the back of my people?
Okay, I'm just saying.
And I'm answering your
Sure.
question, Senator. Why is the balance being put on the back of my people? Because if you take a look at the North Slope, there's plenty of other places to drill, as has been mentioned earlier. Plenty of other places. So that's the balance. You have NPRA you can drill in. We don't need to drill in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge.
Can I ask real quick then, as far as the Lieutenant Governor there, have you all looked at different areas to support, trying to find protecting their rights?
Absolutely. And with a pipeline, the reality being 3/4 empty, with all of the existing areas of exploration and development, and more coming on with recent discoveries, we still are a long way from being responsive to current national energy needs, and we need to continue to find the ability to achieve national security, safety in energy, and we need the access to the 1002 coastal plain in order to achieve that.
Let me just say that my time is up, and I thank you, Madam Chairman. But those of us who come from extraction states who've done the heavy lifting, West Virginia's been heavy lifting for a long, long time, and we continue. And our way of life also has been infringed upon also. We think we can do things better, but also find the balance. And all we're asking for is some tolerance here. We try to find alternatives that we can respect your people and your way of life, and also in a balance have the energy that we need to keep this country strong. I think that's a responsibility. There's nobody in West Virginia who wants to drink dirty water or breathe dirty air, the same as Alaska. So if anyone thinks from the public leaders, and all of you all are supporting doing more as far as an energy resource, energy production, in the most scientific way or the most advanced way as you possibly can. I know the footprints as far as horizontal drilling. We've reduced the footprint in West Virginia. We've been blessed with a lot of shale gas, and it's unbelievable. We know we can do it much better, much cleaner, much more environmentally friendly. So I'd urge all of you, man, try to find that pathway forward. Try to find that balance that I think you can. Hope you can anyway. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Senator